Welcome into the CHGO Bears Podcast, Minicamp edition, day one in the books. Adam Hoge, Nicholas Moreano on the top of Mark Carman's head on the show with you today. Hello, everyone.
Hola. Hi, Adam. Hi, Nick. I am balancing the entire show on a Bosu ball, so respect me, love me, and that's the look today. So
Okay.
my core is going to get ready.
I don't want to get off the rails here to start.
No, it's too important. Big day. Caleb.
You are an unbelievable human being. You're. What do you call the ball you're bouncing on?
Isn't it a Bosu ball? Those big.
I don't know what the official name is. I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
a bouncy ball.
Yeah.
It's I don't.
You also have never worn that hat that you just frantically put on your head because I
can't do that. That just that's
okay,
horrible.
Look at the flow.
Will you take the sticker off the bill, please?
Only Hoge would see that. That is the insanity of Hoge. And let me tell you something. This man's insane. All right.
Okay.
Stickers off, Hoge.
I am a little insane.
You are Hoagie Hoge. All right, go ahead. What do you got? Let's go. I'm very excited.
Just want to make sure we're ready to go before we jump in. Welcome in. Obviously, a late afternoon pod today as the Bears held minicamp at our normal show time. So we were all out there at Halas Hall. We all watched along Bears Alumni Day. So some old friends along the way out there as well. Some good conversations being had at Halas Hall today. We'll share some of all this with you as well. Make sure you hit that like button. Please subscribe. We will be doing this the next 2 days as well. I've been getting this question a lot. We can see all three practices this week. Tuesday through Thursday is the schedule. The media, it is open to us, and we are doing our show after each practice, just like we are today. And as we like to do when we do these post-practice shows, talk about the best and worst of what we saw, heard. It can really be anything. Nick, I'll tee you up here first. What was the best thing you saw today at practice?
Yeah, so in the 7-on-7 period, I thought there was a lot of good throws from Caleb Williams, but the one that stood out to me the most was just a dart to DJ Moore. It was near Caleb's left, near that left sideline, but DJ was coming back to the football. Caleb threw it right on the money, hit DJ right in the hands. Tyreek Stevenson's in pretty tight coverage, but the timing of it, the fact that DJ Moore's coming back to the football, Caleb Williams' accuracy on the pass, it was just a really good play that you want to see in 7-on-7. The timing, anticipation, the throw. When I was writing down my notes, I'm like, that's a good play on all aspects. Like even for Tyreek Stevenson, he was right there. But DJ Moore just made a better play. It was a better throw that beat better coverage. So it just really it stood out to me for one of the 7-on-7 plays.
How about your worst?
Worst thing was, I would say in the team period, there was one play where Caleb threw a pass and it got knocked up into the air. And then you see Darnell Wright's kind of going over to try and knock it down. But then also Caleb Williams is going over there, and he's the one that eventually knocks down the pass. But for me, I was just like, man, Darnell Wright's a heavy man. If he somehow lands on Caleb Williams' foot or something like that, trying to knock down a pass in a team period, then, things could go wrong. So I just didn't like the sequence of how things were happening there. Credit to the defense for deflecting the pass. Obviously, they made a better play on that particular rep, but I just didn't like that. Hey, Caleb's going over there. So was a big man like Darnell Wright trying to knock down this pass. They ended up being fine, but I don't know. Maybe I just had like PTSD from something else, seeing Bears players go down in weird ways, but nothing ended up happening. But that would be my worst on there.
Mark, your best and worst of the day.
So I am going with the Caleb to DJ connection. We saw it a ton today. We've seen it a ton with Justin and DJ. What I really liked about it today is, DJ's running out routes and he's right at the sideline, and Caleb's throwing bullets right on the money. I get it. It's 7-on-7. There's no one in his face, and I'll get to my worst in a second, which is also about Caleb. But these were good. They're good throws. He's got a lot of velocity, and they're where they're supposed to be. I was talking to J-Mac, Jason McKee for a second about it. He's like, he's hitting him on, on the shoulder upside. So he right. That's exactly where you want it. Turn and run with the football. You're just seeing some of the elite arm talent, watching Caleb. That is super exciting. My other is the other side, which what you're also seeing is standard rookie stuff. He's holding on to the ball a lot still. It's very early, not a huge deal, but he's still holding on to it. He had a 2-play sequence today where he ran out of bounds, and then the next play he didn't want to do that again. Then he was picked off by Kevin Byard. Like that was a back-to-back sequence there, which I was happy that he threw the ball. Like let's I'd rather see it coming out than running out of bounds. But his day was mostly good, and then there was a bunch of stuff sprinkled. I thought that Keenan Allen too, if I a little long-winded here, but he was like, his press conference was one of my best actually. He was so honest. How long is it going to take to get up to speed with Caleb? He said, it's going to take some time. It takes middle of training camp. We'll start to understand each other. And there was just some good honesty going on in some of the pressers here. If you listen closely to Montez Sweat talking about Dexter, I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah, I think that also it's important to note with Keenan that he kind of gave us a timeline on how much he's actually been around, and he was around for a couple weeks before the OTA practices actually started, like when they can actually get out there and practice. And then he hadn't been there the last couple weeks. So today was just real first practice with Caleb Williams going up against the defense. And I thought Caleb to Rome looked good today, and I thought Caleb to DJ looked good today. And Keenan was kind of the guy that didn't get a lot of targets. That's going to have to be something we all get used to, because they're not all going to get targets every practice, every game. That's a good problem to have. But today it just happened to be Keenan, and I don't think you should be surprised by it because he hadn't been here the last couple of weeks. So I think that probably had a little something to do with some of that honesty from Keenan answering some of those questions as well, because he hasn't really been here the last couple of weeks, and some of that chemistry has been built. In terms of my best, I'm going to put it on number 15, the rookie wide receiver out of Washington, Odunze. I thought he had a good day. This is almost beyond today a little bit too. I've just been impressed, and I like what I'm hearing even more so than what I'm seeing. To hear Keenan Allen talk about that he's impressed with Rome, how he already sort of just knows where to line up, what routes to run. Like, he's not running the wrong routes. He's not lining up in the wrong place. He seems to understand the playbook already. Like, it reminds me of the things we started hearing about Darnell Mooney when he was a rookie, when all these things that you're almost expected to struggle with at the start when you're an NFL wide receiver, when you're a rookie wide receiver. It's like, oh, this guy just sort of gets it. He just sort of understands this stuff innately. He picks up on things. He's learning really fast. And then, oh, by the way, this isn't a 5th round pick. This is a top 10 pick. This is an elite talent that the Bears drafted, who checks all the boxes in terms of how he plays and what his character's like off the field. So that, to me, is an unbelievably good development for it still being June, to hear his teammates talk about him like that, because it is an indication to me that he'll probably be thrown into the fire right away and be expected to produce. And even though he's a top 10 pick, like, we see guys having to be eased into their rotation even in practice. And that's not the case. He's thrown in there with the starters right away. And yeah, we can take a look at this Keenan quote that we had on Odunze today. He said, Rome looks great. He's a guy who stepped in. He's been with the ones right off the bat. He knows what he's doing, his responsibilities. That's huge. I also like to throw in, as much as we size these guys up and I like get my own eyes on them in the pre-draft process and all that stuff, it's not until you see them, one, at rookie minicamp, but those are all still rookies. But then especially when they're out there with the rest of the NFL players running around, Odunze's big, man. He's bigger than I thought. Standing next to Keenan Allen, I think he's slightly bigger than Keenan Allen is. we know the sizes and we know the heights and the weights and all that stuff and how it's listed, but until you see kind of what they really look like out there on the field, that's when you can really get a glimpse of how they might hold up early on in their career. And he looks built and ready to go to me. And that is a phenomenal development.
It's interesting that you say his size because, yes, but to what stood out to me today was his speed. Dude's fast.
Yeah.
I mean, he is that is a legit wide receiver, NFL talent, high-level speed dude in addition to his size. So that, I mean, I was like, okay, bud. And I'm also noticing chemistry developing, at least between Caleb and Rome and DJ. Not and I didn't see it as much, I guess, and with Keenan today too, where I'm not talking on the field. I'm talking just on the sidelines, talking about plays. They were right in front of us today, like 10 feet. They were right there, and you could just see like a pretty animated conversation going on. Which again, not a huge deal. It's June the 4th, but I liked it. It seems like there's just we keep on hearing about Caleb's leadership skills. Well, it was just on display the way they were communicating right in front of us, and stood out to me.
Yeah, even on the 7-on-7 real quick, you guys, like there was a completion where Caleb extended the play, rolled right, and he hit Rome. After the play was done, he kind of went over to him and was just talking to him a little bit about it. And it's like maybe there was something that they could have even done better to make sure that play actually translates to an actual game if they're in that type of situation in the future. But like what Mark was just saying, it's like you're seeing those little spurts of the leadership kind of coming from Caleb on the practice field right in front of us. So really good to see.
As for my worst of the day, just a 2-minute drill from the offense. I mean, you could always flip that to great. The defense was great. That could be the best. But the ones had 2 series and couldn't even get a first down. And that's fine. I mean, like that's an area where I think the defense definitely has an advantage over an offense. Learning the system for the first time, rookie quarterback, all those excuses we want to make. It is one area of practice where not completely shocked when the defense wins the day. Last week, Caleb got him in field goal range and the field goal was made. For what it's worth, the defense was whole today, other than Montez Sweat not doing team stuff. But that entire secondary was back. And I thought their 7-on-7 was really good against those guys. DJ getting open, Rome getting open, Caleb completing the passes. Really, the only blemish was the interception that he threw to Kevin Byard. So a lot of good stuff, and overall, I think it was a pretty solid day, and the best of worst.
I mean, Keenan called the defense. He said they look like a they look like a top 5 defense. They sound like a top 5 defense. I don't know if they're a top 5 defense. I'm a little skeptical on that, just because you seem like a pass rusher short. But
well, because you're a hater.
Top 5, huh? You're confident in that, Hoge? I know you're not. I know you're at least somewhat skeptical they'll be top 5.
I'd be disappointed if they're not top 10.
Sure, I would agree. I would.
Top 5's on the table. Yeah.
Top 10 seems realistic. Top 5 seems a little high, but maybe they will. Maybe they will. Look, there was one comment also what I was leaning into on Montez Sweat with when Gervon Dexter's been brought up, and everyone's been saying Dexter's praises, and Montez Sweat has a pretty good idea on what it takes to be successful on a defensive line, and here we have it on the screen for you. I really just think he just needs to let the chains off. He has all of the ability, the size, the skills, the mind. He's humble. He's just got to let the chains off and go. And I think that is a little bit of a window into that. I mean, he sees it all there for him, but he hasn't seen it all come together quite yet. So I thought it was a noteworthy quote.
I will say, when that play that Nick was talking about earlier, where the ball got batted in the air, that was Gervon Dexter.
Makes sense.
He's a big dude, and if they can get him moving,
I mean, Montez Sweat is huge. Gervon Dexter standing next to him today, he's bigger than him. That was noteworthy too for me. Like that,
and Gervon slimmed down too. It looked like. So I mean, that just tells you how big these two guys are. But yeah, Gervon, he has a lot on his plate this year, so he's looking the part so far in like these mini camps and these camps so far.
I'm really looking forward to, and I know Carm is too. He'll be right there next to me with the binoculars when the one-on-one start at training camp, taking perfect notes on, what Gervon Dexter, his wins and losses in ones-on-ones when the pads are on, What's that get off?
Mm-hmm.
Break the chains off. Let's go.
This may be the year that I go full Bears reporter nerd and bust out the binoculars.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening. I'm kidding. I will not be doing
I'll
that.
give you mine. I'll give you mine, just in case.
Right. Binoculars. What do you guys
Didn't need the binoculars today. Field 1 practice. We were right there. Best vantage point we've had in any of the practices so far. So shout out to Field 1 practices. We love those very, very much. We also love WhirlyBall. WhirlyBall is a combination of basketball, lacrosse, and hockey. Think about all that. It's true. And then put yourself in a bumper car while you're doing that. It's the most fun you can have going 4 miles an hour. The Bucktown location is 3 WhirlyBall courts, 12 bowling lanes with lane side service. So no more running around to get your own drinks. They'll bring them to you. And a 2-story laser tag arena, private event spaces, and 45,000 square feet of fun. 32 craft beer taps, craft cocktails, and upscale bar food. Booking with WhirlyBall is as easy as an intentional walk. Just go to whirlyball.com/CHGO and click book now. There's a WhirlyBall location near me in Vernon Hills. Guys, I think that might have to be a post-practice activity for us at some point.
All in.
I mean, Carm, how badly would you want to just ram into Braggs with a bumper car?
See, that's the thing. I would. I absolutely would. But like knowing Greg the way we all do, you do that to him, he literally will go to his car and get a sword and come in and like take off an arm. He is okay. He is an eye for a leg guy.
Well, do us a favor. If you check out WhirlyBall, please don't do that. You can purchase an hour of WhirlyBall and get 30 minutes of bowling for free. You must book with a private event to redeem. Book now at whirlyball.com/CHGO.
You got to check out WhirlyBall, and you also got to check out Shady Rays. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays, they have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all your outdoor adventures. And they have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find that perfect pair that match your style. And they probably have a style in your favorite team colors. I literally always have them in my car handy for whatever I'm doing, especially if I'm outdoors, have my Shady Rays. And how you can get in on this great offer that Shady Rays is offering right now, and it's exclusive for our listeners here at CHGO. Shady Rays is actually giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com, use the code CHGO for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades are rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
Oh, the Shady Rays were clutch today. It was a hot one. Today felt like training camp.
It was humid.
It was muggy. It was a good day to be out there. Carm, I have a random question for you, because I was having this thought during Matt Eberflus's press conference today, and I want to ask you this first because you have been probably most critical of Flus and his pressers. Do you think he's getting better at these press conferences?
It's so I was just looking at the rundown, which I rarely do, and I saw that on there, and now that I was like, I had the exact thought, and now you're bringing it up. Mm-hmm. At the start of his presser today, we got the best Flus, easy going Flus, honest Flus. Like, I honestly thought to myself, not to be slightly egotistical here, I'm like, has he been listening to the CHGO Bears podcast and taking the feedback of just, we need an honest, straight up, right at it Flus? Like he made a joke about the fight, which was he was like, oh yeah, you saw that? You're like, I think Herb Howard called it like a skirmish or something. He's like, we dust up, a dust up, and then he upgraded it.
He updated it to he called it a fight,
right? Oh. And then it was like, what's gonna happen? No big deal. Like I was loving the Flus for the first half of his Flusness today, and then the second half of Flus, he resorted back to standard Flus. But he had a great start. He did.
I felt like that was one of his better press conferences. I would rate today's press conferences as a whole Probably some of the better ones.
So
just
let's break this down. I actually think, because I actually do think this is a real thing. I'm being serious now. Now with the one very important caveat, it is June. There is no adversity. There are no losses. They have had a phenomenal offseason. Everything has fallen into place in a way that if you listen to Ryan Poles on the Adam Schefter podcast, which we're going to bring up at the end of the show, they really do feel fortunate in how this stuff has fallen into place. So everybody's feeling really good. I get that. But this is also part of an actual physical makeover we've seen with this coach this offseason. And I think that it's carrying over to the press conferences. And by the way, the Bears have had a PR change, which I think matters in this conversation too. So you have Flus go. Here's his opening statement. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's too long, which points for that. Like, he's bringing things to the table. Opens with this little nugget. Well, first of all, he goes with the weather comment. So maybe a 1 point down for the weather to start. But then he brings up on his own how he's brought the rookies over to his house with some other guys. This has been a thing he's done all offseason. He had the first year and second year players over. Food truck and everything. They're playing games. They're having fun. Then he had the third and fourth year players over. And then all the vets that are at least 5 and up. And he has a nice little joke about, you can tell talent difference for like games like golf and stuff from the guys who've been around longer. But that's a little nugget he's throwing out on his own to give to the media. I thought it was interesting. Then I thought it was interesting that he has no problem going into Caleb's interception. No one had to ask it. Yep, Caleb threw a pick today, broke it all down. He said Caleb double hitched on it, threw it back over the middle, something he's got to learn. Got to learn, get it out of your system now. So, I've seen coaches bristle at the idea of somebody asking about an interception in practice in June. And he's offering off the top of his head because he knows he's going to get asked about it. Why not just knock it out right away? And then the other part of this, too, that's not necessarily an opening statement, but has come up in multiple press conferences now, including today. He's not afraid of acknowledging that Caleb Williams should be really, really good. I mean, he was asked a question by Pat today about the quarterbacks that Keenan Allen's played with, and he had a little joke for that, too. He's like, and now he's got Caleb.
Yeah.
So it's Phillip Rivers, Justin Herbert, and now he's throwing on his own Caleb Williams into that. And I think it's all fair. I think it's great. So many times in media, we have these like robot press conferences, and it's like pulling teeth to just get some personality and some obvious statements out. Guy's a top prospect. Let's treat him like that. He's your starting quarterback. Let's treat him like that. When he throws an interception, let's just talk about it. It's not a big deal. And I think this is awesome. I know people have had their fun with Matt Eberflus's press conferences so far, and we'll see how they go. Like I said, they start 0-2. What does it look like then? But I think this has been an actual improvement, and I believe it.
You believe what exactly? That he's changed Flus? Or more open? That we're going to get a more open Flus going forward? I don't mean to pin you down to that one bit of comment. I'm with you, by the way. I agree.
Well, how about this? I believe he is more comfortable in front of the media. And
I wouldn't push back on that.
And I think that, sometimes we see these veteran coaches that have been in the league forever, and we're just like, well, this guy should know what to do at every press conference. He's never been a head coach before. He went many years in the NFL where he barely had to talk to the media as an assistant. And then when he becomes a DC in Indy, he's got to do a press conference once a week. But no offense to the Indy media, that's not Chicago. The room's way different here in Chicago. Now he gets thrown in this head coaching role. Like, it's unfair to expect him to come in and be Matt Nagy right away, who did seem very comfortable in front of the microphone. And I just feel like this is somebody that's kind of growing into that role now here in his third year. And that's okay for him to take those couple years to need to get comfortable. Just like we've talked with Shane Waldron, if there's fair criticisms about him, how he was in front of the room in Seattle. Well, now he's got a new job and he's got an opportunity to start over and learn from those experiences too. So he might be more comfortable in front of the room now compared to when he was in a different place.
Where I go is where this matters. He's, he's bringing over the rookies. They're hanging out. They're having food trucks. He's building rapport. The Bears are leaning into over and over again that their culture is the best culture, that in order to, Poles said on the Schefter pod that we'll get to, but I'm just jumping ahead here for a second. It's like, look, our locker room, like he's a big locker room guy. You hear this and you hear it from Flus too. So we are seeing like a little bit of evidence, I guess, that, or at least he's just giving examples of what he's been doing, bringing guys over, having food trucks, hanging out. That is more than just being football coach. And then we just saw him in front of us today, not just being football coach, but being a human, which to me, like the reason why this matters for those who like will scream at us that doesn't matter. I just think it makes him more relatable. It makes him a better leader. It makes him, he's connecting with his guys. I think ultimately that does matter when you're trying to get the most out of guys.
Well, and two, I think he honestly, guys, he needs to be more genuine, comfortable in front of the microphone, because there's going to be a lot more microphones, cameras in maybe the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whenever Hard Knocks comes into this building too. So it's like, hey, you better show like your authenticity right now, or however you want to be portrayed on this show, because it's coming into your building. It's going to be here for training camp. And, they're like DeAndre Swift was a guy that got misportrayed when he was on Hard Knocks, when he was in Detroit. Like, you don't want to have that happen, but you just want to ultimately be yourself. So if Eberflus is going to have reps at this and show that he's getting better, this is the time to do it. And like today was, I think, just a step in the right direction of how you can go about a press conference without being, super robotic about it.
We had a couple of good comments in there that I saw flash up on the screen. One was from AJ Katz. There was also one, this one right here. I think Flus has gotten more comfortable in general, and I also think Poles' notable transparency has made him feel like he can be a little bit less locked up with info. I think that's fair. When your boss is out there doing all these interviews and being very transparent, I think that probably helps you too. And then the super chat from Quinn, $5, from confusing everyone with the Claypool staying home being his choice to now being open, honest, and funny. Who says only players can grow and develop? Now, 2 points on this, Quinn, and I think it's a great super chat. One is a perfect example, because if I have to say the low of the Matt Eberflus press conferences was that one. And there was a lot of adversity going on at that time, and a lot of things weren't handled great. But that confusion post-game with a situation where you didn't, I don't know, we criticized it immediately in the moment on that post-game show that day, because it just was not handled well at all. And I remember being pretty critical, being like, if I'm a player in that locker room, I'm not thrilled with how this was handled. But coaches can learn from that. Like, you can make mistakes like that and then learn from it. On the flip side, like I said off the top, very little problems right now. Hardly any adversity, really none whatsoever. So I think the real test will come whenever that adversity hits, and it will, whenever there's, Jason Leisure and Dan Weeder in the front row, coming at him, peppering him with fair questions, as always, and how it's all handled. Because right now, it's just a different vibe in June. I do think it's interesting, and that's why I wanted to bring it up. Meanwhile, please hit that like button. Please subscribe. I know we tend to get some new people in here on these post-practice shows, different time of day, a lot of interest in what happened in practice. So if you're here for the first time, please hit that like button, please subscribe. And we greatly, greatly appreciate that. Also, if you're listening to the podcast version a little bit later on, please rate and review the show and send the link off to a friend. We also have some things coming up I want to dive into a little bit of Caleb Williams' development a little bit more, because I think we learned a couple nuggets on that today. And then I did mention that Ryan Poles was on the Adam Schefter podcast, and there's a couple things to talk about there as well. Meanwhile, I'm going to tell you about Sunnyside, because Sunnyside is the place to go when really any of your cannabis needs need to be taken care of. Sunnyside. They've been a partner of ours for a while, and they're your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside is everything you need to elevate your summer. And look, it's a one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs. They have an expertly curated menu with over 100 strains to choose from. I don't know what Nick's doing right now, but plus easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Sunnyside is Illinois' favorite dispensary. They have locations in the city, Wrigleyville, River North, and in the suburbs, all the way out to Champaign, South Beloit, and more. Sunnyside is expert guidance and brands we know you'll love. So head to sunnyside.shop. Use code HICHGO. That's HICHGO at checkout for 35% off favorite brands like Cresco, Good News, and more to elevate your first purchase. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders.
It's a great thing to do right before you get on a flight to London. Let's do it. True Fan Travel wants to help you come with us to London for the Bears and the Jaguars. They got flights to London. They've got 4 to 5-star hotel accommodations. They've got a welcome event for you. They've got a private boat cruise on the River Thames, whatever it's called. That thing's awesome. We've got the Tim's.
We have to get this right. Tim's.
Do we?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Tim's, I love you. London, my place. You get an upper level ticket to the game. You get transportation from the airport to and from the game, the whole thing. You got your on-site trip coordinators, which we, of course, are making Greg Braggs do, along with everything else he'll be doing. Breakfast at the hotel every morning, meet and greet with yours truly and Hoge and Nick and Braggs and everybody else from the company that's coming. That's what you do. You go to truefantravel.com, make your deposit, secure your spot, come to London. Let's get wild. Let's do this. It's a once in a lifetime situation here. So we'd love to have you. And Bears will be undefeated when they get there. Damn it.
And Nick, it's getting easier for businesses to switch to electric vehicles. And that's something we can all get behind for the health of the planet, for the well-being of all of us who share it.
That's exactly right, Adam. The electric grid is evolving to meet your cleaner energy needs as we all move with confidence towards an electric tomorrow. Whether you have one delivery van or a whole fleet of shipping trucks, Kmet can help guide you to make the changes that make sense.
So what should business owners do?
Yeah, they can go to Kmet.com/clean to learn more about the resources, fleet rebates, and infrastructure incentives available to help businesses go electric. If you own a business, don't wait. Start making your plan today to switch to electric vehicles. Good for business, good for the planet, good for all of us. Go to Kmet.com/clean.
Did you say Kmet.com/clean?
I sure did. You can go now and see how going electric connects us to a better way of doing business and a better future for generations to come.
All right, so a couple interesting comments today I thought about Caleb Williams' development. We did not get a chance to talk to Caleb. I'm not confirming this, but I would expect we talk to him at next week's open OTA, since that seems to be a rookie focus situation going on there. But Matt Eberflus got to ask some questions today. And Cole Kmet, as always, our guy Cole Kmet here on CHGO, he had a press conference, and I thought he was super interesting. In fact, let's start with that, because I know we have one of the quotes from Cole Kmet that we can throw up on the screen. And Cole's clearly been spending a lot of time with Caleb, which we'll talk about as well. But he said, this is Cole on Caleb Williams embracing Chicago. He said he's starting to get the understanding of what this means to the city and what he means to the city. He's definitely embracing all of that. He also said, in terms of this opportunity that he's seizing with the Bears, he wants to compete. He wants to be remembered for a very long time. So I think he's ready for this opportunity. He just has the demeanor about him that you have the feeling that he can succeed here for sure. So the vibe, like I was talking about with Rome, the early vibes here, I think other than that one tough practice we watched a couple weeks ago, definitely has been better. I think it's been really good, quite frankly. And I like how this is trending. I also like Matt Eberflus's answer, guys, when he was asked today by our friend Stacey Dales, what is the one thing you've been impressed with the most with Caleb Williams? And he said, quite simply, learning. Like his ability to learn the offense, have the beginner's mindset is how Flus put it. Kind of, not come in here like you know everything already, just sort of starting over from scratch and learning it. And I think, and Cole mentioned this too, look, a couple things have been choppy here and there. There's been some pre-snap penalties, but it has not really been overwhelming. And I believe Cole when he said today that for the most part with this new system under Shane Waldron, it's been relatively clean, like the operation part of it. And I think that that's a good sign.
Well, and also Cole was talking about like with the West Coast system, there's a lot of things that are similar in this offense. Of course, the terminology, one thing could have been said this way, but in Waldron's offense it could be completely different. So I think that helps too when you have something that's not completely different. So when guys like Caleb Williams are coming into this offense, you have veterans around him, they can help learn that offense. And that, obviously helps with this transition period as they're, Caleb's learning this, but he does have a lot of guys that have played a lot of football around him. So it just makes the transition a little bit easier for a rookie quarterback.
And just to spray around here, the Cole part of it, I love that Cole is, I don't know if you want to say he's taking Caleb under his wing, but they've definitely created it. When we saw him at Wrigley, Cole was joking around like, stay away. And now he's telling stories about how they're going to Topgolf and they're competing and it's staying open till 1 a.m. because Caleb doesn't want to leave because his team is losing. Like these are, big brother, great teammate things that you like to see. And it's just who, of course, Cole is. So I'm not surprised by it at all. And the Flus thing, when he talked about the learning, he said learning and absorbing. So you see him like, he's a Flus. The way I heard that is like you see him putting the time in, but you also see it like sinking in, and he's getting it. Whereas, not to bring up Mitch Trubisky for the zillionth time, but that dude was learning. He was there. He was given the effort, but it just didn't absorb. It's how I would kind of, just one of the reasons why he wasn't successful. And Caleb hopefully will, he's going to spend the time, but how quick can he actually take it in and then apply it? And the fact that Flus is underlining that seems to be a huge potential positive.
Steven, let's bring up that super chat again that you just had up there from Jonathan, because I think it is timely to what we're just talking about right now. So $20 super chat from Jonathan saying, haven't made a live show in forever, but wanted to say, hey, what's up, Jonathan? Hey, he said, Adam, where does Caleb rank versus Trubisky and Fields at this time? I love your analysis. Nick, you're the man. Carm, I need more Jordan voice. Braggs, brick juice.
It's hard to evaluate this time frame, Jonathan, but let me see what Adam has to say.
Yeah. So it's hard to answer this question.
It's a conundrum of a differentiation in this early exemplary period. Go ahead.
Okay.
Just comes and goes. Jordan voice.
I just don't get it. I really just don't get it. I don't
you don't understand.
There's some people that do get it, and then there's some that are.
But I don't think he talks like that.
I don't think so either.
And he certainly doesn't use those words.
He does. It was audacious. The audacity. He would say like perceive the perception. The guy was he would put on the scholarly Jordan voice. Go ahead. Give Jonathan your analysis on where he's at.
People love it. So it's possible for me to not get something. And if our listeners love it, you keep doing it, but not right now. I'm going to answer the question. So remember,
Adam.
The thing that stands out about Mitch was just both of these things. Like it has to do with the competition they were facing. So neither one was thrown in there right away as a starter. Mitch was technically the third stringer behind Mike Glennon and Mark Sanchez. So like he wasn't even getting enough of the reps. Like it was it was harder to evaluate at this time than what it is with Caleb. Like, so it's so easy for me to be like, Caleb looks better right now. He looks more comfortable with everything because he's actually out there as a starter running all the plays. And I think he's doing a pretty good job so far. I also don't think it's fair to be like, oh yeah, Caleb's, we've watched 3 practices. So I guess 4 or 5 if we're including minicamp or rookie minicamp. But it's and then with Justin, sort of the same deal. Like, he's behind 2 other guys and he's just not getting the reps. And it's so stupid to think about in hindsight. So I'm just happy Caleb's the guy and he's getting all these opportunities. He's getting all these reps. I think it's mostly being clean. So understanding that it's way too small of a sample size right now, I think he looks better.
Jonathan, Caleb has swag in ways that Mitch did not, in ways that Justin didn't. He looks, he's been confused on the field, but he's got this just way he moves around. And I don't, there's an aura, if you will, of confidence. Would you guys agree with that? I can just, there's the way he carries himself. It's a different cat. That's what I see.
Well, too, how they carry themselves even out of the football field, like, the chants, how Caleb's embracing that. I would never in a million years see Justin Fields doing something like that. It's just not his personality. So even though they're both came into this situation where they're, going to be quarterbacks for the Bears, like, it just seems like Caleb, he does have that confidence about him. Like, even though he hasn't taken 1 snap in the NFL, there's just, if you're just watching him on the practice field, watch how he carries himself, you will want to tend to believe it just because of how he's presenting it. So it is just completely different from the other Bears quarterbacks that have been here.
I don't want to gloss over that story that Carm kind of hit on a few minutes ago about Topgolf, because, doing some of the reporting that we did and some of the coverage we did leading up to the draft and talking to a lot of Caleb's USC teammates and coaches, it popped up a lot how many times they would reference how competitive Caleb is off the field. Like, yes, he's on the field, but practice is over and he wants to go compete in something else, like whether it's cards or I think someone brought up Uno at one point, like
Monopoly
like
Go,
dodgeball,
yeah. Someone brought up dodgeball, Monopoly Go, like there's been all these things. It's just like he is just constantly like wanting to win. So Cole Kmet said that they were at Topgolf the other night, and it wasn't just the 2 of them. There were some other teammates there, I guess. And like basically it was time to go. They were shutting everything down. The place was closing for the night. And I don't know what time Topgolf usually closes. But Caleb wanted to keep going, and he wanted to keep the game going. And a couple of other follow-up questions we hear, it was basically because he wasn't winning and Cole was winning. Cole's team was winning and he just wanted to win. And so it's like, let's keep playing, and eventually they got kicked out at something like at 1 a.m. So I love that little story.
Now I don't want to blow any part of this story up, but I did just search on my phone Topgolf. It does say it's open till 1 a.m. So I don't know. Maybe they close a little bit earlier most nights because there's nobody left, and like 1 was the cutoff, and that would be my slight guess here. But regardless, it does check out that they were there till 1 a.m. because they're open till 1.
You might be right. Like it's kind of like a bar closing early, but having a liquor license that expires at a certain time, being like, no, you have to be closed at this time. So that maybe they were trying to close it earlier and they didn't. So then at 1 o'clock they had to finally be like, bye.
We're done later.
Yeah.
Our staff's going to freak. They've been here since 9 a.m, according to the Topgolf hours that I'm seeing. Let's all put our Bears jerseys, Bears hats, be like Greg Braggs for the next 5 minutes, and just, it's cool that they're hanging out. It's fun. It's good to see. They live different lives. I mean, we're friends with Cole Kmet to a point, right? But we're not like hanging out with them. Like these guys are like, it's just, it's got to be on some level. I would think like some bit of a lonely existence, like doing this job with the pressure it's on you, and you're just moved to Chicago, and now you're living in the suburbs around Halas Hall. Like that's not exactly that sucks. It sucks.
Wow.
Whoa.
You hear that? You hear that, Adam? It sucks
Yeah,
living in the suburbs around Halas Hall.
Yeah.
Would you want to be? Would you want to be a 25-year-old black man living in this suburb right now? And your options? What are your options to go out to the local Chipotle? Like, no, I'm sorry, it's not the most fun.
WhirlyBall is right down the street there,
okay,
Mark. Remember that.
And so is Topgolf, and that's cool. I'm just saying for the Bear, like to be a rookie and get dropped in here and whatever. Maybe they're having a great time. I don't think it's the easiest transition. I like the fact they're hanging out. That's all I'm saying. No disrespect to your neighborhood, Hoge.
You're disrespecting yourself right now.
How am I disrespecting myself?
You live in a suburb by Halas Hall.
Yeah, well, listen, you've been here for decades, and this is your home, and you have your own golf course over there, Hoge Mansion. This is not an attack on me. This is an attack on you. And you too, Nick, with your Arlington stuff. I'm about Chicago. I'm about building the stadium in the city. Getting back to the original point, it's good.
To your point, though, when I was Caleb's age, I was living in the city. Yes. And
this land is a bunch of old people with families and whatever. It's boring. It sucks. It's middle. It's not exciting for for an NFL player. So I like that. Maybe they don't need excitement. Maybe they're just so geeked for their jobs. I like that they're friends. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I like this comment that we have here. It says, for a city guy, Carmen's the most suburb old lady tennis person ever.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Hey,
somebody named Braggs in the stands.
Okay. That those comments don't count. Shouldn't he be at Wrigley right now doing something?
And you know what? I don't care what. Yes, I think we can all probably agree that living in the city at Caleb's age would be more fun.
Thank you.
Having a nice penthouse situation like he had in LA. And I don't know what he's doing, and that's his business, and that's fine. But I highly recommend do not deal with the Kennedy Expressway at any time. You work in Lake Forest, live in the hotel across the street from the practice field.
Yeah.
That's my advice.
Yeah. That's why he needs friends like Cole Kmet.
I think Caleb's got plenty of friends.
I'm sure he does.
Shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah. All right. Couple other things I wanted to hit on. Cole did also say he likes Shane Waldron's teaching, called it clear and concise. Montez Sweat talked today. We heard from him for the first time in the offseason because he hasn't been around, and he came back. And I first thing I noticed was he referenced the players on the roster that they had lost from last season, most notably Justin Johnson and Yannick Ngokwe.
Like, who the hell is Justin Johnson? That's bad. That's funny though.
I'm sorry that we did not have time because practice ended and the press conference ended so late and we had to drive back that we didn't have a chance to pull that, but we'll pull it for another show. When Justin Jones was who again? That was amazing.
Justin Johnson
okay.
and Yannick Ngokwe. Now, Ngokwe is understandable. Like, he's not the first person to ever mispronounce the guy's name. But look, I guess he was teammates with him for like
5 seconds,
7 weeks. Okay, yeah. So, but that was pretty funny.
Yeah, we lost a lot of the interior. Justin, I was like, wait, who is? Oh wow, yeah, Justin Jones, my guy. Nice of him to say.
Yeah,
he's in Arizona now. PHNX. They can call him Justin Johnson.
Yeah. So Montez Sweat. One name he did get right though, Austin Booker, and he had this to say about Austin Booker. He said, "I'm excited about him. He's got the whole makeup from the frame to the pass rush ability. He's going to be a great player. I just got to be that big brother for him." The Austin Booker. Yeah, I would say the Austin Booker vibes are good too. Early on.
Travis Smith, the defensive line coach, was calling him slippery and what was it? It wasn't unique. It was, again, how he's rushing the quarterback. Like, it's standing out. And if it's standing out to the defensive line coach, Montez Sweat is saying these good things about him. Again, that's going to bode well. We'll see you in training camp when they have the pads on, but I'm liking what we're hearing so far from Austin Booker.
I thought, and maybe this is too big of a nitpick, but when he was asked about Austin Booker, he kind of jumped up and down about him. And when Dexter came up, he didn't. So I thought that to me it stood out a little bit. I'm not saying he was running down Dexter at all, but it was interesting how excited he got about Booker. And like I think he's with the Dexter thing. It's like, you can do this, man. You can be better. Like that's what I'm thinking. Sweat thinks about him.
I also liked how Montez was, he was asked about like the defense and how they do all the talking. And then he went into saying something along the lines like, you got to have a screw or two loose to play, on defense. Yeah. And he kind of got it, the media laughing a little bit.
He said just in football in general, you have to have a screw loose.
And I completely agree with that. Like, you guys are going at fast speeds, tackling, hitting people. But I think it speaks to the culture that's also here in Chicago right now, where people are having fun. Like, you have to have a screw or two loose, and guys are flying around and they want to fly around. They're talking. Like, that's what this defense is going to bring, or wants to bring, on a, game to game basis. So it's fun hearing one of the leaders and one of the guys that's getting paid most on the defense kind of talk like that about this defensive unit.
I also want to hit on Ryan Poles before we get out of here. We have some super chats. Yeah. However, Steven, our awesome producer, is letting me know that we are 59 subscribers away from 56,000 here on the YouTube channel. So if you're new here, and I feel like we got at least a couple people here who are new, maybe not subscribed, probably a few more than that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Maybe getting all the way up to 56 by the time the show's over is a little aggressive. But we greatly appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button, help us out here. And also check out all of our other content that we have at allchgo.com. Nick's always writing up there. He's got practice recaps. You can go to allchgo.com. You can also become a diehard, get bonus content, and also get discounts on all of our merch. Got a lot of great merch that's up there. You always get 20% off all merch and events. We have a big event tonight, actually, with Cubs and White Sox down at Wrigley Field. So we do all types of events like that. Carman mentioned the London trip earlier, and we have a lot more coming your way. So make sure you're diehard as well. But the easiest thing you can do right now is hit that subscribe button for us and help us get that counter moving in the right direction, which I see it is.
You don't want to do anything else with your Bears football content. You need us here at noon, Monday through Friday, all the pre and post that Hoge just named. Thank you so much for everybody that already has, and appreciate everybody who's doing it right now. Thank you.
And the like button too. So Ryan Poles, Bears general manager, was on the Adam Schefter podcast. That was an interesting conversation. I didn't necessarily think there was anything super new or but anytime he speaks, he's transparent, and so it's interesting to listen to. And there were a couple things I wanted to point out, and I know Carm has a couple too. The one is, though, that, look, to capitalize on things, there's things in the offseason. Like, who you're supposed to scout. Who's already going to be a free agent. Then there's all the stuff that you don't know. This team changed head coaches and GMs. Who are they going to cut? This team's up against the cap. Who are they going to cut? I mean, sometimes you can find that out from agents, behind the scenes, whatever it might be. But there's always a couple things that are going to happen unexpectedly, where you might get a little lucky. But I always say this about luck in general: you create your own luck. Mm-hmm. And so the more prepared you are to look at a team like the Chargers and be like, oh, Mike Williams is a free agent. We're talking to their people, but man, we know that they got to get out of the cap. Who else might they cut? Oh, wow, Keenan Allen's available. And then pounce on it that quickly. And again, that's not an easy thing to do. You can't just say, oh, they want a 4th round pick. Done. You got to go to your owner and say, I need $23 million in cash. Like, now. Like, is that in the bank account right now? And that's a real thing that we don't always think about behind the scenes. So the more prepared you are, and he also put Kevin Byard in that bucket of things that were unexpected that they pounced on. And clearly they wanted Rome Odunze, but they managed to get him without having to trade up, which they clearly didn't want to do. So some of this, it seems like luck. There's certainly an element of luck to it. And obviously the Caleb Williams situation and how the fortunes of that trade from last year is all paying off. You don't have total control over it. But I do think we have to give Ryan Poles and his front office a lot of credit for creating this situation to have some of these things fall into their lap and fall into place the way they have.
Yeah, the notes that I took on it, you just hit a lot of them.
I'm sorry, Carmen. Can I just hit one more thing?
Yeah, sure.
Just because it's kind of the same topic. Because it's just popped back into my head from listening to it. I forgot to write it down. Remember how bad they were Ryan Poles' first year and how much they had to strip it down? He talked about in that interview with Schefter about like how right now they're getting all this credit for how quickly they've turned things around. And it sure does seem like fast. Like, oh man, 2 years, like they're ready to win in year 3. But that was a product of being as patient as they were. And he's like, in the moment, you want to like rush this. You want to make this move now. You want to make this move now. But in reality, like they didn't do that much that first year. Mm-hmm. And because they were patient, it allowed them to pounce on that DJ Moore trade last year. And then, even then, they didn't totally go all in. They found Montez Sweat in the middle of the year. Things have started to fall into place. Like you look at their offense right now, the weapons we're talking about, and really, it's DJ Moore and Cole Kmet are the only two guys that are back from last year. Like they've made a lot of this just this year because they gave themselves that financial flexibility, draft capital flexibility. All this stuff came as a result of them being patient early.
Well, at the time, he was getting a lot of credit for tearing it down, and we gave him credit too. But I was also saying like this is the easy part, getting rid of the dead weight. This is not rocket science. This guy, we don't want him. We're getting rid of him. We'll eat the money. We're not trying to win. We'll take the pain now, so we can have a better future. But it was also at the same time, it was like, okay, he's doing exactly what he should be doing. You're not going to fault him for that either. And then it's like, well, okay, let's see you build it up. And he's had missteps, but he's also had, some freaking home runs along with some doubles and whatnot. I mean, Montez Sweat, I don't know where you would put that in baseball terms, but it's at least a double, if not a homer. Caleb's a homer. The trade's a homer. And I'm jumping ahead on Caleb, but just to be in the position to have him, I mean, he deserves his flowers. He did do this quickly. And just listening to him too, he's pretty at ease, Poles, in the interview, I'd say. And except they underlined that during the draft, his wife was annoyed that Ryan Poles apparently was chewing his gum at too big of a rate. So maybe in the future he might not chew gum on draft night. I liked what he said about Caleb, as far as scouting, like the creativity about him stood out. So that was interesting to me. Like he's leaning into that you need to be able to do creative things to win. Yes, Hoge.
And he talked to some basketball general managers.
That was interesting to hear that. Because again, he also said that is the new outlier in sports. Guys that are creative and feel the game, they're not afraid to take chances. And I mean, when you watch Caleb Williams play, like you would definitely say he brings that creativity, that willingness to take chances that maybe some other quarterbacks are just not even capable of doing in the first place. But yeah, so that weighed heavily in why Caleb Williams was ultimately the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, and along those lines, big locker room guy, he says on there, and you can't fool a locker room. So that leans into the why they were getting themselves comfortable with Caleb, but also just everybody else they're bringing in there, and why outside of his performance, Chase Claypool lasted for 5 seconds. And I thought it was interesting with Byard too, the way he talked about him. He says he'll help with the back end with communication and turnovers. So I'm not saying that he was I don't know if he was saying there was a communication or not enough communication back there last year, but I thought that stood out to me just at least a little bit that he underlined the communication part of his job.
The other thing I want to bring up, just because I find it super interesting, and this was almost more Schefter diving into this than Poles, but the ramifications of one move and how different things could have been. And in respect of the trade that was made last year and how many different franchises it ended up affecting, because we know that the Texans were right there wanting to move up from 2 to 1. And Poles talked about that after the trade was made, and the timing wasn't right. Some conversations just went the wrong way at the last minute, and Poles didn't want to wait anymore, so he made the trade with the Panthers. Well, Schefter believes, based on his reporting, that they would have taken Bryce Young, the Texans, if they had moved up. And instead, based on two different things that the Bears were heavily involved in, they win the game in Week 18 in Indianapolis instead of losing it. So they end up with the second pick. Then they try to trade up. They're not able to do it. So they kind of have these two things happen that ends up, it seems like a bad thing at the time, and it ends up helping them because they ended up with CJ Stroud instead. And then meanwhile, the Raiders, they're trying to move up too. They're interested in trading up for the number 1 pick. They don't do that, and everyone's fired.
Mm-hmm.
So and then in Carolina, they make the trade, everyone's fired, and it looks like a mistake that they didn't take CJ Stroud. And so really the Bears and the Texans are sort of the benefactor of all this. The Panthers and the Raiders are not. It's affected so much, like just, oh, and this was super cool. What a reference by Ryan Poles I hadn't thought about in forever. He referenced the movie Butterfly Effect.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys seen that movie?
Nope.
Ashton Kutcher.
But
yeah, no, it's actually an interesting movie. That's got to be, though, almost 20 years old, if not more than that. But it's just kind of the basis of, how one single thing can branch out and affect so many other things. There's one decision made at any moment. So I thought that was just an interesting reference.
It released in 2004. Right on.
Wow.
There you go, Adam. 20 years old.
You and Nagy, Hoge, you guys are together.
Yeah, one of my hairs just turned gray again.
You
transitioned.
I was gonna say that for a slower day, but yeah, it's coming in quick now on you, buddy.
Oh, it's I made a prediction to my wife like a month ago. I go, this time next year, I'm just gonna be full Mark Carman.
Silver Fox.
Don't do it.
God, I'll at least comb it though.
You're letting it grow out, Mark. Look at that.
I am. I'm getting rave reviews, buddy. This is it. We'll finish up the show with it. Why not? Okay.
Mad scientist. That's what you are right now.
Trying to slip. Is it gonna rain here? Because I got a T-ball game. I
was hitting off the
I'm
tee
supposed to go to
morning.
Wrigley to meet the crew tonight. So
yeah. Well, we need to get out of here. I hope it doesn't rain for the health of everyone in my house, because my nephew's going to lose his mind if another T-ball game gets rained out. We got a bunch of supers to get here on the way out, though. LVR Steelworks, $10. What's the Bajent Rippin battle looking like for the 2 spot?
Come on, LVR. There's no battle there. Rippin's a non-factor. Bajent's looking amazing. He had another good day today. He had a beautiful pass down the seam, and he did the. Do you see that? Did you see him do
the shoulder shrug? Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Kind of
yeah,
his
he did.
Go-to thing.
Yeah,
I like his little. He does like the arrow shot,
Oh,
after he does it. Like I think that's pretty badass when Tyson Major's like,
You should just do the arm wrestle.
ooh.
He was right in front of me too today. He was talking with Carlson, the tight end, and they were celebrating a play, and I really felt like, you guys want to like include me in this conversation, because like I love you. I'm Carl. I'm Team Bajent more than anyone. Right here, secret Bajent man, right here, buddy. But I
just get a tattoo sleeve, Mark, and he'll like, whoa, you're doing this too. So if you do that, I think you'll be right in.
Yeah.
Philip. Look at Philip with his Carm and Bragg's avatar. He says $2 super chat. Carm is confusing Jordan with the Riddler.
Philip.
You got
There's
looks
no-
like
there's-
the Riddler right now.
Listen, buddy, I was 11 years old in 1984. No one has studied everything about Jordan. No one had more posters. No one has worshipped. No one has studied Jordan more. You will not do that to me. And neither will you, Robbie Rowe.
People are paying money to have you not do it. Robbie Rowe, $2. Carm, please stop with the Jordan. It's cringy.
I'll consider it, Robbie. It'll be a consideration. But it's too popular, Robbie. People love it, damn it.
Pizzatola, $2. Here's a CHGO snidbit. Great callback there with the snidbit. Great job, Pizzatola. 56,000 subscribers and 55,000 hate Carm's Jordan.
Snidbit. Certainly. Quite naturally. Snidbit.
We might have to turn snidbit into a segment. Steven, write that down. I'm writing snidbit down. It was an accidental thing. We can do a whole segment. Snidbits. Oh God, Big Cram. 99. What is happening? Carm should get the Flus look before the season starts.
Ooh, wow.
I don't want to step on the Flus's parade, but I got my own brand going on here, Big Cram, as you well know, as my Big Cram. Thank you, though.
Can someone just take a screenshot of what this show is right now? I'm just trying to sit here to get through a Bears show, and Carm hasn't combed his hair in 6 days. And Nick, what's happening there? What do you?
So my brother went to Japan, and I don't even know. Someone said this was upside down. I don't know if this is the right way, but I don't know. This shows we're in the after hours, so
okay,
let's go.
I actually want to go to Japan. Robert Mays was there, and I'm jealous. Cliff Nash with 199 pounds sterling. Bear down, boys. Great content. See you in the UK.
All right, Cliff. Let's go.
Someone on the fence right now needs to go ahead and book their trip and come with us. And then then screenshot me your confirmation, and we'll shout you out tomorrow. Aramis Perez, $5. Besides the trenches, what's the biggest question mark on our team?
Besides the trenches,
I mean, honestly,
center.
I'd say the back end staying healthy, mainly Brisker.
Yeah. Well, I don't mean to give a boring answer, but I think besides the trenches, it's how quickly does the quarterback come along?
Oh, yeah, that's a better answer.
I mean, that's everything. But I do think that the trenches, I put both sides of the ball number one, and we've talked about it before, specifically Javon Dexter and how he comes along. Was that it?
Yeah, just
one. That was it. And we do have Bragg sending this to us from Wrigley right now. We have another Caleb Williams sign.
Save us, Caleb.
Is Greg
Williams.
making these signs? Is Greg making these? Because that is really well done.
I'm not sure if he made this one. He did slack it to me, and then he also texted me to make sure we get this.
Greg's not making signs. That's Jenny or Addie for sure.
Okay, yeah. Because I mean, that's really neat. Doesn't look like anything's out of the letters. Yeah, everything's spelled correctly.
Well, we know Carm didn't make it.
I actually think that Braggs did make that sign. It's the only thing he can do. The guy, there's a video of him with a sign in 2016, 2015, going to Cubs games and standing on the wall. The guy is he's a sign expert.
Just whatever the chant is tonight by the CHGO contingent, let's make it something creative. Football related still, but I don't know. We can come up with something different. I don't know what it is, but Green Bay sucks. It's just too easy at this point.
Oh,
so there's a challenge.
Raise the bar.
That's what I want to say.
Raise
when
the
I get
bar.
that tweet that comes out that I roll my eyes at tonight, make it better. That's my challenge.
Hey, real quick before we go, shout out to our guy Charlie the Bacon Guy for supporting the softball team, and of course the 2-0 softball team. We won't talk about the fact that Nick is getting kicked off the softball team, but
This is news to me.
You've been cut. It's on the transaction wire that came out about 45 minutes ago.
No, we're sticking with you, Nick. Like no one has ever stuck with anybody. We believe in you, and just the fact that you tapped out to the pitcher twice and dropped a fly ball, no big deal. Everyone's had a bad day. I know that you're going to be better next week. Hoge, Nick nearly single-handedly lost the game for us last night. It was almost.
I almost sabotaged this. I was there out this morning though, Carm. I like Caleb Williams. I'd hate to lose, so I was out there this morning hitting off the tee to make sure I can be a part of why we win.
You're lovely.
We almost lost.
You're lovely.
All I
girlfriend.
know is the manager of the team was on a high-profile show yesterday, telling everyone that the team they're playing was terrible, and you guys almost lost. And
we did.
You can throw all the players under the bus that you want, but that was on you, the manager.
You know what was on me? The managers. I did have one little faux pas in the lineup, so there was my part in yesterday's performance that I will be better at. So you're not wrong, Hoge. I'm not completely blameless.
More confident. Big Cram.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he has another one. $9.99. Caleb is going to have a restraining order towards Braggs before training camp.
This is a possibility.
It's a good idea.
Matt Nagy says Carm is the Matt Nagy of softball coaches.
Ooh, wow.
Thank you, Nagy. I appreciate that.
Fun show. We're out of here. Go become a diehard. Come to London. Check out our golf outing. We haven't talked about that enough. That's coming up in July. Come hang out with us. We got lots of events. If you're a diehard, you get 20% off all those events and get some merch. Appreciate each and every one of you. We'll be right back here tomorrow. Same time, same place. Another mini camp practice. Breakdown. Tell you all about. Hope you guys enjoy them. And talk to you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.